Hello, it is March 15th, 2022. I'm Chris Remo, and welcome back to the New York Times Crossword Daily Solve. Now, as you can see, this is not today's crossword on the screen. Mea culpa. I made a terrible error this morning. I pressed the wrong button on my recording software, and it looked like it was recording, but it was doing something else called virtual camera. It wasn't recording. I'm sorry. I saw the volume levels going, and I thought everything was correct, so I recorded. Well, I didn't record. I performed, I suppose, the entire crossword solve and didn't record any of it. And I don't have, unlike some of the past versions of this error, I don't have either the audio nor the video, so I can't sort of re-record something that preserves the original reaction in any way. And especially on a Tuesday puzzle, it just doesn't seem worthwhile to resolve a puzzle I've already solved. It would be just such a gimme that I just don't think it's valuable. So I decided, I don't know, maybe I'll solve the New York Times monthly bonus puzzle, which is this month is called World Storytelling Day, in honor of apparently that day, which is a few days from now, March 20th, which usually is part of the Patreon campaign. So every month I solve these puzzles, these monthly bonus puzzles published by the New York Times and constructed by Fred Piskup for patrons. But there has been quite a lot of material going up on the Patreon channel recently. So maybe in lieu of this being there are so many other videos going up recently there. By the way, if you're interested in the Patreon campaign, you can find that at patreon.com/dailysolve. And on that note, actually, today, let's thank Kathleen Quinn, Victoria Rojishka, and as always, the inestimable Hood Monsters, benefactors of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign. So thank you so much to the three of them and to everybody who's backed the Patreon campaign at any level. And in fact, actually, I finally remembered on this day when I forgot to do the important thing, I remembered this less important thing, which was the mug, the Let's Check the Crosses Daily Solve mug. You can get that as a benefactor of the Daily Solve Patreon campaign. But if you back the Patreon campaign at any other level, you always get access to the extra channel on the Discord chat server and all of the extra bonus solves that go up, including usually the monthly puzzles that I'm going to be solving here on the public channel today. So I hope you enjoy that. And that's it. So I suppose we'll solve it. So as I mentioned, these monthly bonus puzzles are always constructed by Fred Piskup, and they tend to be easier. Well, they tend to be, I don't know, maybe Tuesday to Wednesday-ish difficulty, perhaps. So it's actually relatively appropriate for today, which is a Tuesday. They range a bit in difficulty, but they tend to be an early to midweek difficulty at the most. And they tend to be extremely highly themed, very, very highly themed, but in a very light way. So this is called World Storytelling Day. That probably means we're going to have quite a few either clues or answers in the puzzle dealing with stories or storytelling. And typically at the end of these, I like to count the percentage of how many of the clues or answers have referenced the theme in some way. Anyway, this holiday, World Storytelling Day, is celebrated globally on March 20th, so just a few days from now. And the point is to celebrate storytelling across all cultures, all languages, to tell stories and to appreciate that general phenomenon our species shares. So let's do that with a crossword. And not edited, as always, by Will Shortz. As far as I can tell, Will Shortz does not edit the monthly bonus puzzles. They're just constructed by Fred Piskup, who's been doing it for a long time. And let's get started. Okay. A silent storyteller. So here we go. See, we already have one that references a storyteller. Silent storyteller. A book, perhaps? Lawn-wrecking pest. And material for white piano keys once. Well, that's ivory, so I guess this won't be a book. And a setting for Stephen King stories. Maine doesn't... I've actually never read Stephen King, but I'm pretty sure his books are set in Maine. And the silent storyteller is a mime. So someone blank story. Someone else's story. Song from the musical Chess. I've not seen Chess either, although I've heard it's interesting. But anyway, here we have story referenced. The blank portrait, Poe short story, must be the oval portrait. And a lawn wrecking pest, could be a mole. Let's check this one. We didn't see this. Lane of Superman stories, Lois Lane, of course, classic character. And novelist and short story writer Hemingway, Ernest Hemingway. Blank Can, the story of Sammy Davis Jr., looks like Yes, I Can. And the Lion King lion is Simba. I remember that character's name from The Lion King. Othello for One is a Moor from Shakespeare's play. Sorry, but I was about to jump back up to the top and just start cranking through these in order. So, serious story. A drama, perhaps? How a bedtime story is read, it's read aloud. And a journey's end point is a destination. Charlotte of the Facts of Life. So, this is a case where I don't think I've seen The Facts of Life, and I don't think I can picture this person, but I'm pretty sure her name is Charlotte Rae because I'm aware of the existence of that actor. What about this? Oh, maybe not. Ray or something else. Storyboard supporter could be an easel, so maybe it's not what I thought. And here we have a brief tussle. And dancer Fred in the story of Vernon and Irene Castle must be Fred Astaire, the famous Hollywood dancer. And DC subway is the metro system, the DC public transit system, the metro. So brief tussle, it must be a set too. Yeah, that's a bit of slang I'm not personally very familiar with. And then Charlotte Rae, it must be spelled with the vowels in the opposite order than I thought. Okay, resort island off of Venezuela, Aruba, and a story that spans generations. Is it the Edda, the Nordic sagas? No. Oh, no, it's just saga. Sorry, it's the thing I said, saga. Yeah, okay. And it's the same old story. Actor driver of Marriage Story was Adam Driver. I did see that film. And a 911 responder abbreviation could be an EMT, an emergency medical technician. A story of valor, it could be a jest from the French. Fruity drink, an aid, like a limeade or a lemonade, and some post-grad degrees could be Masters of Arts, MAs. So there we go. Oops. Arthur of Maud, B. Arthur of Maud. I'm aware of this program, and I'm generally aware of B. Arthur. I don't think I've seen Maud, but I know of it. And then here we have the D in LED is light-emitting diode, I believe. So the D is diode. And was overfond of with on. Doted on, you could say. Morsel in muesli. An oat. And actress Kathy of American Horror Story could be Kathy Bates. In less danger could be safer. Tell the story of could be narrate. And pretentious sorts. Snobs, perhaps? John Wayne role in the greatest story ever told, e.g. I'm not sure. What about this? Blank-fi, futuristic genre, sci-fi. Now, this doesn't use the word story anywhere, but I would count this as thematic. He could have said futuristic story genre. I don't know. John Wayne role in the greatest story ever told. Common O. Henry story feature irony, such as the gift of the Magi, in which the husband and wife give each other gifts that sort of cancel each other out in terms of their usability. Melville story set on Tahiti is Omu. I've never read Omu, but I'm aware of it. And Melville obviously being more famous for Moby Dick. Oh, John Wayne role in the greatest story ever told, e.g. Is it a cameo? And I wonder if this does actually have the word story in the clue. Never mind. So you don't need to infer it yourself. Source of non-dairy milk is soy. That looks right. And where Forrest Gump sits to tell his story it was a park bench, right? Or maybe on the sidewalk bench, maybe. 2013 love story starring Joaquin Phoenix. Was it Her? Was Joaquin Phoenix the character in Her, I think? Tribal storyteller typically could be an elder. Daniel, who wrote a story about a castaway. Daniel Defoe. And The Bossy Stooge. Oh. I don't know the Three Stooges very well, so I don't know which did which, but Mo fits, so I'm thinking it must be Mo. And West Side Story song is America. That is a great song from West Side Story. Article in many German story titles. Could be der, the definite article, the one of the German definite articles anyway. The Story of Blank H, Truffaut movie. Oh, is it? I think it's Adele H. The story. I know this. The Story of Adele H, maybe? Could be wrong. Let's check the crosses. Lukewarm is tepid. Heroine of a Lewis Carroll story is Alice, as in Alice in Wonderland or Through the Looking Glass. And a window stick on is a decal. All right, so indeed, The Story of Adele H. Truffaut movie. And was there anything else we haven't seen? Yes. A Tiny Amount is a tad. A Grand Scale Story is an epic. And Tierra del Fuego. Just fill it in. Like many a Poe story is eerie, so we can write that in. And to turn sharply is to veer. Title heroine of a James Joyce short story. Is it Eveline? Let's check the crosses. Durant, who co-wrote, The Story of Civilization. Oh, can't bring this to mind. For some reason, my first thought was Will Durant, but I must be thinking of someone else. Mislead with a tall story. It could be lie to, I suppose. Maybe putting it a bit strongly, but I suppose it's technically true. Evil spirit. Could be a djinn. No. A demon. Djinn isn't necessarily evil. Zola, I think it is, who wrote this short story collection for A Night of Love, Émile Zola. And pertaining to musical pitch could be tonal, as in a language, possibly, or, I guess in this case, referring to tonal music as opposed to atonal music. Ryan of Love Story. Ryan O'Neal sounds like someone. Is that an actor? That sounds like someone. Anaheim Major League Team on scoreboards. Los Angeles Angels, is that right? So O'Neal would work. The Story of Alexander Graham Bell, Don Ameche movie. I don't know that film, I don't think. But that looks right. And grin and bear it is a saying. So we can fill that in. Oh, so this does look like Eveline. And then, Oriole? Is that? I think I'm mixing up my authors here. Ariel Durant. Like a ton of bricks. And make a long story short, perhaps. Make a long story short. I don't know, I'm not seeing it. What about this? Roman Emperor played by Peter Lorre in The Story of Mankind. It must be Nero. And abbreviation on a discount label. Could be IRR for irregular, an abbreviation, and obviously it's telling us it's an abbreviation, so we didn't even need to infer that. Here we have Ruby of the Jackie Robinson story. I'm not sure. And edit. Make a long story short, edit. Ruby D, that sort of sounds familiar. Yeah, it must be. Laura, who won an Oscar for Marriage Story. Oh, that's so funny. Laura Dern was also... Marriage Story was also up here, wasn't it? It was. Yeah, Adam Driver of Marriage Story. Laura Dern was referenced in today's regular crossword as being in the Twin Peaks, the third season of Twin Peaks from David Lynch and Mark Frost, their great television program, Twin Peaks, which gave me the excuse to mention, which I guess I'll mention again since I'm bringing it up anyway. If you're interested in hearing me talk about something completely different to crosswords, utterly unrelated as far as I can tell, I did 3 seasons of a podcast called Twin Peaks Rewatch with my co-host Jake Rodkin. And for the first 2 seasons, we rewatched in sequence each episode of the original 2-season run of Twin Peaks, the television program. And then the podcast was over. But fortunately, I suppose, for us and that podcast, a couple of years later, David Lynch made another season of the show. So we came back and did a third season that was not a rewatch, but a watch along. So we would watch each episode and then discuss it as it was released each week. And I thought that third season of Twin Peaks was just great. So anyway, that was there are 30 something or however many total episodes of Twin Peaks there were. That's how many episodes of the podcast there are. Twin Peaks Rewatch, if you're interested in that. Okay, so a likely story, I bet, you might say. And then based on a true story, and to wear away gradually is to erode. The squiggle above some ends is the tilde. And a warty amphibian is a toad. So before we fill this in, let's check the crosses. Solo, a Star Wars story. Yep, that looks right. And, oh, that's funny. Ancient Icelandic work that contains many mythological stories. Edda. That was what I wanted to put into Saga. But here we got to put it in the puzzle anyway. And then property owner's document is a deed. So then we can fill in the toad. And there it is. And don't get that streak because this is not part of the daily streak. Sorry again about this error today. I hope this was an all right substitute. So now I'm going to do the thing I do I do this on the version of these videos that goes up for the Patreon campaign. I go through and I count the number of instances of the presence of story being referenced in either the clue or the answer for each numbered clue. I don't know why. It's the thing I do. But I speed it up so you don't need to sit here and watch me do it slowly. It'll go very quickly. But first I need to count the total number so I know what the percentage is out of. So I'll do that first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so I think there are 82 total answers. I have to remember that. 82 total answers. So now I need to count how many involve story, the word or concept of story. So 82. I have to remember that. Okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I think we had 49 theme-related clue answer combos. So 49 out of 82, pretty good. So we did surpass the 50% mark, which is always what I'd like to see in these monthly bonus puzzles. And just as a bit of clarification, I did include sci-fi, futuristic genre, which is a little iffy because it doesn't use the word story. And usually the way these monthly puzzles are themed, they tend to be pretty superficial theme connections, so they will actually directly reference one of the words in the theme title. But I counted sci-fi, but I didn't count all the cases of, for instance, Othello for one, more referencing the story Othello. I didn't count those. There were several of those, but I did count sci-fi genre, story genre. Anyway, so there we have it. That's my little recap of this puzzle. Pretty straightforward. I would say this is on the easy side, even for a monthly puzzle. So a pretty good and approachable monthly puzzle with, as always, plenty of theming. And I suppose that's it. I should get going because I've spent, sadly, twice as long as I would ordinarily spend on this since I had to record an extra video due to my own ridiculous and silly error. I'm very sorry about that. I will be back tomorrow, I hope, for the regular Wednesday puzzle. And actually, I don't even think there were any necessary corrections from yesterday's puzzle. I mean, there were a few comments on yesterday's puzzle, but nothing that I think required correction or clarification. So I suppose we can simply wrap this video up today. So thank you for joining me. And if you're interested in seeing more of these monthly puzzle solves, they're all up on the Patreon campaign at patreon.com/dailysolve. But I hope you enjoyed this one as a little replacement. Again, very sorry. I will be back tomorrow for the Wednesday puzzle. I hope you join me. But until that point, please do have an excellent remainder of your Tuesday. Take care.